So I need to get some thoughts off my chest, and those thoughts are about The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. Now, I was off YouTube when Tears of the Kingdom originally released, so I didn't really get a chance to talk about it. Now, this isn't going to be a skitty bitty style video essay. I mean, Lord knows I could never get my thoughts out about the game as well as that, but I definitely needed to talk about it. This is just going to be one guy sitting in his truck on lunch break talking about the game, so don't take this video too seriously. I know this video might make a lot of people mad, and that's fine. I get it. Again, these are just some random guy on the internet's opinions. But I won't waste any more time. Let's go ahead and get right into it. I would say Tears of the Kingdom is my least favorite mainline 3D Zelda, and it isn't close. I would say after that is Skyward Sword, but there's a huge gap between the two. Skyward Sword is actually a good game with some likable things about it. There's a lot to love about Skyward Sword, even though it did mess up a few things in my opinion, but that game overall is just leaps and bounds better than Tears of the Kingdom. Now, I'm going to get into it with what I think is the biggest problem first. And that's just the overall core structure of the game. It's just terrible, right? Like, okay. So when you think about it, right, with Tears of the Kingdom, you got the Great Plateau. You get off the Great Plateau, then you go to the 4 areas, and then at the end, of course, you fight a Ganon, right? Or the Beast Ganon. The same thing in Tears of the Kingdom. It basically just copied Breath of the Wild's homework. Now, don't get me wrong, I actually liked Breath of the Wild, but I disliked Tears of the Kingdom, right? Because they copied its homework one for one, essentially, right? You have the starting area in Tears of the Kingdom, which is the Great Sky Island. It's just a worse version of the Great Plateau. They essentially do the same thing one for one, right? You have the Ghost of the King. Okay, that's Rauru. Okay, he's in this one, right? Furry Rauru. You have the starting area, right? It has 3 shrines that you have to complete in order to get off the starting area, and you get an item to do so, right? It's the same exact thing. You get all your abilities and your power-ups in the main starting area, but it's just the worst version of that. The Great Plateau was actually good. The Great Sky Island, I don't know what they were going for here. Like, it has a few good things going for it. I guess the atmosphere and the vibe was kind of cool with the golden trees and the snow area, but apart from that, it really just kind of sucked. Okay, and then guess what? As soon as you get off the Great Sky Island, you do the exact same thing, right? You might stop at that little town that's being put up by the castle, right? But after that, you go to the same 4 areas that you did in Breath of the Wild. Guess what? You go to the Goron area, you go to the Zora area, you go to the Rito area, then you go to the Gerudo area again, right? They added one new one new temple, so props to them for at least doing that. The Spirit Temple, which overall was actually pretty decent. It has its issues. The actual temple itself was just a boss fight, but I consider the temple the whole section leading up to it, right? Again, the main plot points of this game copy Breath of the Wild down to a T. They introduced dungeons instead of Divine Beast, which is okay. The dungeons themselves have a lot of issues, I think. My favorite dungeon is probably the Lightning Temple. The other ones were okay, except for the Water Temple. The Water Temple was just complete ass. I don't know what they were thinking with this temple. Way too short. The lead up to the temple is far better than the actual temple itself. Yeah, don't get me wrong. The Fire Temple was okay. It had some pretty good music, but you could just cheese that one like you do with everything else in the game. The Wind Temple and the Lightning Temple are by far the best 2 dungeons in the game, but let's be honest, without the music, I don't think the Wind Temple would be as hyped as it is. The music is, they drop an absolute banger when the boss fight happens, so... And then the Lightning Temple felt the most like an actual Zelda dungeon, and that's the one I prefer the most in the game. So yeah, the fact that the core structure, the core layout of the game is exactly the same as Breath of the Wild really didn't sit well with me. But then I also want to talk about the rewards, and the best way to illustrate this is with the labyrinths, right? They have 3 sections: ground, sky, and the depths. The reward for these was just ass. It's DLC from an old game. That's just completely inexcusable in my opinion. Like, you get all hyped up for your reward at the end of this, and guess what? It's Phantom Ganon from Breath of the Wild. Great. I don't know, this just seems like such an insult. And not only that, but like the rewards in the depths too were just DLC items from the old game that they reused and copy pasted in the new one. Like, that's just ridiculous. The next point I want to talk about is the Korok seeds. There's 1,000 of these things in the game. And it's just a complete waste of the player's time, to be honest. You don't get any meaningful rewards for this. Like, at least with the Skulltulas and Ocarina of Time, you got like some nice wallet upgrades and they felt meaningful. With the Korok seeds, you just get like a piece of I don't know if it's poop or whatever at the end. and it's just a complete insult to the player's time. I guess it's kind of like a brilliant joke in a way from the developers. But the fact that they did that 2 games in a row, they did it already in Breath of the Wild, and they just copied it over to Tears of the Kingdom is just sad. Like, you could at least do something a little bit different, right? Instead of Hetsu's gift again. That's just insane. And they only brought like 1 or 2 new types of Korok puzzles into Tears of the Kingdom, which is sad, right? Most of them were just lifting up rocks and finding Koroks, right? They bought the one where you have to save the Korok and find his buddy and take him to the buddy using some kind of contraption. Those were kind of cool, but other than that, I don't really think they expanded on it too much from the original game. They just copied and pasted these little quests over and hit them throughout the map, which is just kind of empty. Like, I guess it does give the player something to do once they've done literally everything else in the game. But apart from that, they really don't serve a purpose, and I never ended up collecting all of them. I only collected like probably a couple hundred, then I just gave up because it wasn't worth my time. But then you get into the mechanics of the game, and the mechanics of the game, while some of them are pretty cool, I think a lot of them are just bizarre, and they don't really fit with the Zelda game, right? Like, you have the fuse mechanic and the Ultrahand mechanic, which kind of cool and sandboxy. I don't think they fit a Zelda game. I don't want to go around fusing all these weird monster horns to my sticks and creating all these weird spears and swords and stuff like that. Like, that's just not, I mean, I want to just wield the Master Sword the whole time, to be honest. Or if not, a couple other weapons that actually feel meaningful instead of just some stuff that I slapped together with this green goo. Then you get Ultrahand itself. Pretty cool. It does lend to some cool puzzles, which I think is what they're going for. I will admit, Tears of the Kingdom does have some cool puzzles. When you finally get to a shrine that's actually not just like a blessing shrine or some menial challenge where you just have to take an orb and place it in the socket, right? But I think the mechanics of this game just kind of break it for me. I don't want to go around like crucifying Koroks or creating some weird dick monster that shoots fire and you hit it. Like, I'm good on that, honestly. I also don't want to be able to cheese every single dungeon and shrine that I get to, right? People are going to take the path of least resistance almost every single time, right? And so if you can just slap together a hover bike with fuse and just go about it that way and get to the end of the dungeon or the shrine, why would you not just do that? Or if you can just slap a rocket on your shield and shoot up into the sky and then parachute to wherever you want to go, it really just removes all the incentive. The way that you can just cheese everything in this game just kind of broke it for me. Right? Even if I didn't want to use the cheese mechanics, I would end up like, they're still there at the end of the day, and it's still, the player is still incentivized to use those mechanics no matter what you say. It's just the way it is, right? And now that brings me to the sky and the depths, right? This is the biggest missed opportunity. The sky was almost completely barren, just like Skyward Sword's sky. But I think it's actually worse in my opinion, because there was actually some cool mini games there. With this one, it's just a bunch of little. I mean, there's some shrine quests you can get to, but they're all pretty much the same. Where you just take the stone thing to the start of the shrine and put it in there, and the whole puzzle revolves around you figuring out ways to get it there. And they copied and pasted that over and over and over again, every single time. And then with the depths, it's just it feels like it's almost procedurally generated, like AI. And it's just this huge empty area. And there's not a whole lot down there. There's only like 2 or 3 biomes in it. You got not the Sheikah, but whatever the evil Sheikah were named. I actually forget. They have some bases down there, but they never really do much with those. And that's kind of the problem, right? There's not a whole lot of reason to go down there. You got the light roots, which mirror the shrines. I guess that's kind of cool. But again, those felt kind of lazy too. You just walk up to them and light them up, and there's not a whole lot to them. So the depths absolutely weren't it for me. I don't know. I feel like they could have done a whole lot more with the depths and expanded upon some content and added some darker elements to it. But all in all, they were kind of wasted along with the sky. The sky, it's hard for me to decide what was worse, the sky or the depths. In my opinion, they both kind of equally suck. I'm going to say the sky was just a tad bit better just because I like the vibe and the atmosphere up there more than I did in the depths. The music was good for the depths, but other than that, the depths didn't do it for me. All right, next up, I'm going to go into the sage abilities, and these, for the most part, just absolutely suck, right? And they're just inconvenient, right? So you've got the bird one, the Rito one, where he shoots you forward a little bit. That's the most useful one in the game. The other ones I almost never used. I guess the Goron one is helpful for, like, if you want to mine like stuff, or if you want to have some kind of cannon on your vehicle. But I think the Gerudo one and the Zora one were just absolutely useless most of the time, and I almost never used them compared to the the champion abilities in Breath of the Wild, those ones were actually better, right? Rivali's Gale is just better. I don't care how you know, structurally it's just better, right? You don't have to go up to the bird and talk to him in order to use the ability. You could just do it whenever you wanted, and you have to wait to recharge, of course, but ultimately I think the champion abilities were just head and shoulders better than whatever was in Tears of the Kingdom. And I honestly never want to see that in a Zelda game again. So hopefully they never bring those back. It's just kind of weird to see a gang of like ghost people following you around. It would have been cool if they would have had the actual champions themselves follow you instead of just their ghosts, right? And they definitely could have worked that in there. And then you got the story. The story was somewhat serviceable. Spoiler alert, click off the video now if you don't want to hear this, but I think the only impactful moment in the story for me was when Zelda turned into a dragon. The rest of it had almost zero emotional impact for me, anyways. And then not only that, but the story is kind of told. You can easily get the story out of order with the tiers, right? You can go up and you could do these tiers in any order, and essentially it kind of ruins the story. I mean, it did for me at least, because I know I definitely got them out of order. It would have been nice if they would have just had it scripted to where you just go 1-to-1, right? And the story plays out in order with each tier. But they didn't do that. You could just view the story in any order, and it's kind of bizarre that they made that choice. But all in all, the story, yeah, I don't know. It didn't hit for me. I think Ganon was okay. Ganondorf, I mean. The boss battle with him at the end, I'll admit, was way better than the boss battle in Breath of the Wild, right? Because you at least get a cool 1-to-1 sword fight with Ganon, and you get a spectacle fight with the dragon, which I guess is cool. And honestly, it's probably one of the best parts of the games in Tears of the Kingdom. Is the ending. They did the ending right, but you have the stuff with Zelda, how she gets revived, and then all her sacrifices essentially were forgotten. She doesn't really change much. She just forgets the whole time she was a dragon. So that, I don't know, that it's just a strange writing choice in my opinion. But anyways, this has been my thoughts on Tears of the Kingdom, and it honestly feels good to get these thoughts out there into the open after so many years. I have a lot more to say about this game, honestly, but I'm going to cut it short. Again, this isn't really a video essay. It's just a guy on his lunch break talking about Zelda. So yeah, if you enjoy this kind of content, subscribe. There definitely will be more. Drop a like, share, and comment below. I want to know what your guys' thoughts are on Tears of the Kingdom, and how does it rank for you in the order of Zelda games. For me, it's at the bottom by far. Doesn't come close. That's just me, though. I mean, I know there's some people out there that enjoy it. But yeah, again, if you guys like this content, subscribe. I got more Ocarina of Time stuff coming, as always. So enjoy. Yeah, until next time, this has been Matt from Top Tier. I'm out. Bye.